is Lala in the present? NCIS, Origins, star Mariel Molino, has theories. Ever since NCIS, Origins premiered, fans have known that Agent Cecilia Lala Dominguez was destined to become one of the franchise's biggest mysteries. From the very first episode, viewers were reminded that the story was being narrated by an older Gibbs, a man who, throughout decades of NCIS, never once mentioned Lala by name. That silence has become one of the show's most haunting questions. If Lala was so important to young Leroy Jethro Gibbs, where is she in the present timeline? Is she dead? Did she walk away? Was there a betrayal so painful that Gibbs buried her memory forever? Now, actress Mariel Molino, who brings Lala to life on NCIS Origins, has begun sharing her own fascinating theories, and her ideas are fueling even more speculation among fans. According to recent interviews, Molino believes there could have been some sort of betrayal between Gibbs and Lala, suggesting that their eventual separation may be far more complicated than viewers initially imagined. And if she's right, the truth could reshape everything fans thought they knew about Gibbs. One of the central mysteries of NCIS Origins is simple. If Lala means so much to Gibbs, why has he never mentioned her during the events of the original NCIS series? Fans have watched Gibbs endure tremendous loss throughout his life. He openly spoke about Shannon and Kelly, the wife and daughter he tragically lost. He maintained deep relationships with people like Mike Franks, Ducky Mallard, and Tobias Fornell. Yet Lala remains absent. Completely absent. That omission feels deliberate. Series creators have repeatedly emphasized that Origins tells the story Gibbs never told. The implication is clear. Something happened involving Lala that was so painful, so devastating, that older Gibbs simply chose silence. Mariel Molino appears equally intrigued by that mystery. Speaking about Lala's future, the actress admitted she believes several possibilities remain on the table. One theory she finds particularly compelling is that either Gibbs or Lala ultimately betrayed the other. Such a revelation would certainly explain decades of silence. The second season finale dramatically altered the trajectory of Gibbs and Lala's relationship. After years of lingering glances, emotional near misses, and unresolved feelings, the two characters finally shared their long-awaited kiss. For fans, it was a moment years in the making. For the characters, it represented something even bigger. Hope. Lala had been preparing to leave NIS and potentially start a new life elsewhere. She had given Gibbs numerous opportunities to admit his feelings, yet his emotional walls remained firmly in place. At the last possible moment, Gibbs chased after her. He asked her to stay, and she did. The resulting kiss felt like a classic Hollywood ending, romantic, heartfelt, and deeply earned. Molino herself described filming the scene as nerve-wracking because the cast never knew exactly when the milestone moment would finally happen. But fans immediately noticed a problem. Everyone knows Gibbs's future. Everyone knows Lala does not appear in it. So even as viewers celebrated the romance, many wondered whether the kiss marked a beginning or the start of an inevitable tragedy. Among the many possibilities surrounding Lala's fate, Molino's betrayal theory may be the most intriguing. I think there's a possibility that there was some sort of betrayal on either Gibbs's end or Lala's, she suggested in a recent interview. The statement instantly ignited fan discussions online. Could Gibbs betray Lala? At first glance, it seems unlikely. Gibbs is famously loyal. However, young Gibbs is still evolving. Origins chronicles a version of the character still learning who he is. He's grieving, angry, impulsive, and often emotionally unavailable. Perhaps Gibbs chooses duty over love. Perhaps he pushes Lala away in an attempt to protect her. Or perhaps he keeps a devastating secret that destroys their relationship. Conversely, what if Lala betrays Gibbs? That possibility feels equally dramatic. Could she leave without explanation? Could she accept another assignment? Could she become involved in an operation that forces her to deceive him? There's also a darker possibility. What if the betrayal wasn't intentional? Sometimes the deepest wounds come not from malicious acts, but from impossible choices. A decision made to save someone's life, a lie told for protection, a sacrifice misunderstood. Any of these scenarios could permanently fracture their relationship while preserving the profound love they clearly share. The most common fan theory remains the simplest and saddest. Many believe Lala eventually dies. This would neatly explain Gibbs's silence. After all, loss defines much of Gibbs's life. The deaths of Shannon and Kelly shaped him forever. Losing another great love could certainly leave scars deep enough that he never discusses her again. Yet there are reasons to doubt this theory. For one thing, Gibbs has always spoken openly about people he lost. He frequently discussed Shannon. He remembered Mike Franks. He honored Kate Todd. He mourned Jenny Shepard. Silence has never been Gibbs's response to death. Silence feels different. Silence suggests guilt, regret, shame, or unresolved pain. That distinction makes many fans suspect Lala survived, physically at least. An increasingly popular theory proposes that Lala remains alive somewhere in the present timeline. If true, it would open extraordinary storytelling possibilities. Imagine an older Gibbs unexpectedly reuniting with her decades later. Imagine discovering that both spent years believing the other no longer wanted contact. Imagine learning that circumstances, not feelings, kept them apart. Mariel Molino herself appears open to the possibility that Lala survives into the present era. She has spoken enthusiastically about exploring where the character might be today and what her relationship with Gibbs could look like after so many years apart. The emotional impact would be enormous. By the timeline of modern NCIS, both characters would have lived entire lives. Gibbs married multiple times. He endured tremendous heartbreak. He eventually retired to Alaska. Would old feelings remain? Could they reconnect? Or would too much time have passed? The questions are irresistible. The Alaska connection. Some fans have developed another compelling possibility. What if Lala knows exactly where Gibbs is? When Gibbs left NCIS, he ultimately settled in Alaska, seeking peace after decades of trauma. Suppose Lala survived and maintained distant contact. Suppose she respected Gibbs's need for solitude. Perhaps they occasionally communicate. Perhaps she was the one person who always understood him. This scenario would transform Gibbs's apparent isolation. He would not truly be alone. He would simply be private. Given Gibbs's intensely guarded nature, such an arrangement feels plausible. Of course, no evidence currently supports this theory. But in a franchise built on secrets, anything remains possible. Regardless of her ultimate fate, Lala has already become one of the most important characters in Gibbs's history. That accomplishment is remarkable. Introducing a previously unknown character into the mythology of a beloved franchise is always risky. Fans can resist additions that appear to rewrite established history, yet audiences have overwhelmingly embraced Lala. Why? Because she challenges Gibbs. She understands him. She refuses to let him hide behind emotional barriers. Most importantly, she sees the wounded man beneath the hardened exterior. Mariel Molino's performance has been central to that success. The actress has portrayed Lala as compassionate, fearless, intelligent, and emotionally honest, qualities that make her uniquely suited for Gibbs. Their chemistry has become one of Origins' defining strengths, which only deepens the mystery. If this relationship is truly so significant, what could possibly separate them forever? With NCIS, Origins returning for a third season, fans expect significant developments regarding Gibbs and Lala's future. Several major questions remain unresolved. Will Lala stay with NIS? Can Gibbs fully commit to their relationship? Will outside forces intervene? Is tragedy inevitable? Will viewers finally learn why older Gibbs never mentions her? The writers clearly understand how invested audiences have become. Revealing Lala's fate too quickly could undermine the mystery, but withholding answers indefinitely may prove equally frustrating. Season 3 appears poised to strike a balance, offering clues while preserving the franchise's biggest unanswered question. If Mariel Molino is correct, the answer to where is Lala in the present may not be as straightforward as life or death. Perhaps Lala survived, perhaps Gibbs survived, perhaps they simply couldn't survive each other. Love stories do not always end with funerals. Sometimes they end with impossible choices. Sometimes they end with sacrifice. Sometimes they end because two people meet at the wrong moment in their lives. For now, Lala Dominguez remains NCIS Origin's greatest mystery. And until the series finally reveals the truth, fans will continue searching for clues in every glance, every conversation, and every painful silence from the older Gibbs. Because one thing is certain, a woman important enough to change Gibbs forever doesn't simply disappear. She leaves a mark, even if he never speaks her name.